We are Onyx Imaging. We are the highest rated and most reviewed printer service center in Oklahoma.
Hi, my name is John with Onyx Imaging. Today we're going to take a look at this HP M276 and we're going to look at some of the common causes for paper jams. So, a lot of paper jams are actually going to be caused by issues in your paper tray. So one of those issues is actually if there's a little size indicator, a paper size indicator on the front of the tray that you set on whichever size paper you're using. So in this case we're using regular 8.5 by 11 letter. So you want to make sure that that little indicator is directly on that indication for 8.5 by 11 letter paper. And so you want to change that for whatever size paper you're using. And you want to make sure, like I said, it's directly on that label. If you're a little bit above that mark or a little bit below that mark, it could either cause the paper to be too tight inside the paper tray and it's not going to pull through the printer properly, or too loose and again it's not going to pull through properly and your printer is going to think there's jams. So it's very important to make sure that the indication is properly set on. And then another problem that happens quite frequently is when people add paper to the paper tray and there's a little bit of paper, especially if there's only a couple sheets left on the bottom, and when you slide the new stack of paper on top, you end up pushing some of the paper into the back of the printer, or in the back of the printer tray, and you end up with this big curl in the back. And that does two things. One, it makes the paper tray the paper in the paper tray very tight, and two, it makes it difficult for the paper to lift out of the paper tray properly. So that causes a lot of jams. So it's very important that anytime you add paper to your paper tray, you want to just kind of pull it all the way out and look and check all four sides and make sure that there's no paper curled on any of the four sides and everything's stacked there nice and straight. Another reason that we see quite often is people tend to overfill the paper tray, which I understand, wanting to make as few trips as possible to put paper in the paper tray. But if you overfill these things, then it's going to cause the paper to be too tight with the paper feed mechanism and it's not going to pull through the printer properly. So if you notice at the top of the paper size indicator as well as each side, there's a little indication, a little flag of where the top of your paper, like the max fill line, is. We recommend actually going a little bit below that and leaving a little bit of gap between the paper and that line, just to ensure that you're never going to accidentally overfill. So that way you shouldn't run into that problem. And the last problem would be if your printer hasn't seen any maintenance in a while, and you've had the printer and you've done a lot of printing with it, then you might be due for rollers for your tray. So the actual rollers that pick up the paper and pull it through the printer, they do wear out and they do need to be replaced. And so if you've gone through the paper tray and none of those fixes have helped you, there's a good chance you could be ready for some rollers. If that's the case, please feel free to give Onyx a call so we can take a look at this for you and get those replaced. Other than that, you should be good to go. Back in print. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If you're interested in how you can receive free labor on all of your service calls, as well as how to qualify for free printer upgrades, contact us today. We are here for all of your printer and office supply needs.